What's up, guys? For today's video, I'm going to show you how to add an induction tachometer for about 15 bucks to your outboard. The only supplies you're going to need are a pair of cutters, a zip tie, and some double-sided tape. Let's get into it. Alright, so this device right here is an induction tachometer. What that means is it can read the RPMs of your motor using the spark plug wires on your engine. I've used these before in a lot of my engines. They work really well. One of the main reasons why I want to put a tachometer on this outboard is to make sure that it's performing in its optimal RPM range. With an outboard, there's a specific range of RPMs where the motor makes the most power and uses the least amount of fuel. If you can dial in your motor to run optimally at that range, you're going to have more power, use less gas, and have an overall better experience with your outboard. One of the other great features of being able to know the RPMs of your motor is if you're noticing that your outboard is not able to get up into the RPM range it should, that may mean it's time to change your prop. And if that's the case, changing your prop can get you more hole shot, better top end speed, better fuel mileage, and again, just better overall performance to your outboard. But all of that can be done much easier with a tachometer, so you know how your engine is running. To get started, just to go over the basic tools we're going to be using, as I said, a pair of snips to cut your zip ties, some type of mounting apparatus to mount this in a place that's going to work for you, and that's pretty much it. The kit that I bought for about 15 bucks comes with some 3M double-sided tape. I think I'm actually going to be using Velcro. I find that that's easier to take things on and off of, but if you didn't have any Velcro on hand, the double-sided tape will work just as well. To get started, let's go ahead and get the outboard cover off, take a look at where our spark plug wires are and how we're going to get this mounted up. Okay, so with the cover off, the next thing we need to do is locate our spark plug wires. On this engine, they're right here and right here. Next, after finding your wires, you want to identify which wire you want to run your induction coil on. In general, you just want to pick a wire that's easily accessible and that will route through the engine without causing too much hassle. For me, I'm going to use this top wire here. It gives me really good access to the wire. It's going to make it nice and easy for installation. Okay, so I have the camera set up here right in front of the spark plug wire. It's going to make this nice and easy to see. All right, so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to take a length of the wire and fold it in half. So we have a top and a bottom here. And then we're going to continue wrapping it around until we have a good amount of wraps. I would say around 6. Just needs to have enough to really monitor the electrical pulses that go to firing off your spark plugs. I'm purposefully leaving this length of wire on the outside. That way when it comes time to routing it, I'm going to cross it over and pull it through the front of the outboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wraps. So once you have your wire wrapped around your spark plug wire, you want to pull it tight so it wraps around the wire well. You're going to hold the two ends of the wires together. You want to take one of your zip ties, these are included, and you're going to zip tie those two wires together. So with our zip ties in place, I'm going to go ahead and snip off the ends. And now the coil is attached to the spark plug wire and we're good to continue installation. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this wire through the front of the outboard. I'm going to do my best to route the wire in a way to avoid anything that's going to get hot or any moving parts. And then once you have your wire run through your outboard, you have to find where you're going to be mounting the tachometer. I already know I'm going to be mounting the tachometer on the front of my jack plate here, so I have a pretty good idea on the length of wire that I'm going to need. So with my extra length of wire, I'm going to go ahead and just use another zip tie that I have on hand to make sure that this stays nice and out of the way and doesn't get tangled up anywhere. Okay, so again, I'm going to tuck my extra wire into the outboard down here. I'm going to trim that excess zip tie, and then we're going to route the wire out of the front of the outboard. All right, let's go ahead to the front of the outboard and continuing installation. Okay, so now once you've identified where you're going to mount your tachometer to, get the area prepped for installation. As I said, I'm going to be installing mine right here. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this area down here with some rubbing alcohol. Get this nice and clean. And what I'm also going to do is rub the back of the tachometer with rubbing alcohol, make sure that's nice and clean. Okay, so I'm going to peel off one side of my Velcro here. It would be the same as the double-sided tape. As I said, I'm going to be running mine right here. Just gonna press that in place for a couple seconds to make sure the adhesive grabs on real well. So now that's in place. Now to complete your installation, you wanna make sure your wire routes where it should, nice and easy. I think I might actually have mine come off the side here since that's where the wire routes on the actual tachometer. I can run it like that. This should fit right under your outboard's cover, so you shouldn't have to worry about any issues with that. Now the tachometer has essentially been installed. On the tachometer itself, this one in particular has an hour timer, an RPM reader, and a maintenance reminder. The RPMs will automatically show once the engine is running. We can't have it show right now, obviously, because there's no power. And then the hour timer will basically just start ticking down as soon as your engine is running. So this is a great way to keep track of maintenance as well. For setup, there's not too much you have to do other than make sure that you're selected the correct option for the type of outboard you have. There's different options you can choose, and the firing patterns are listed here to tell you which ones you can select. Now you can go through and enter in the codes that it gives you here, or you can just kind of cycle through the options while your outboard's running, and you'll know when it's reading the right RPMs, because if you're, for example, idling, it's gonna be somewhere around 800 to 1,000. All right, with the tachometer mounted in place, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how this works on the water. I'm taking this out tomorrow, so I'll check back once we're on the water. See how the RPMs turned on as soon as the engine turned on? Good. All right, now as you can see, we're idling now around 900. That's totally normal, what I expected after the motor's warmed up a little bit. So now when we get on plane, we can check the RPMs and see what we're running. If we're outside of that sweet spot, we might be able to adjust the prop and get a little more speed out of this thing.